This just in. Man caught putting his genitals in footwear in a clothing store. When questioned, the man simply said, "Well, if the shoe fits." Here's something. Sometimes I don't have them up, so I just have to go by memory. And then I look later and I find out that it's not actually. People who tell you that's not good for you. There's something about someone thinking that something's in your best interest that makes even the best of people lose interest in minding their own goddamn business for a change. I can guarantee you that in the past 500 years, nobody has heard, "Hey, that's not good for you," and been in a situation where they didn't already know what they were doing was terrible for them. Half the time you hear that phrase, you're in a park, fists deep into 3 gallons of Moose Track ice cream alone. You're already fully well aware of your situation. You think that I'm here for my health? Plus, that's a very dangerously invasive way to go about trying to give somebody good advice. My first instinct when I see somebody that deep in a pit of their own personal hell is to leave them alone, because clearly, at this point, ketchup chips dipped in 3-cheese Thousand Island dressing is the only thing that'll drown out the voices. If you're telling somebody unsolicited what is and isn't a good idea for them, and they're above the age of consent in Russia, you should probably reevaluate your teaching methods, because guess what? No adult likes to be treated like they're not allowed to leave the table until they finish all their Brussels sprouts. By the way, if you like Brussels sprouts, you're an alien, and I feel like I can't speak to you or else you made that body snatcher noise with your open mouth that eats Brussels sprouts. I spend a lot of time trying weird diets out of curiosity, none of which have worked clearly, but whenever I mention it, there's always 2 or 3 backseat physicians trying to drain my balls of hope. 8 different contradictory advice columns shoved into one giant cardboard rectangle of a person, as if anything you're saying could possibly resonate with someone who doesn't have time to stand in the middle of a gym huffing cock sweat off a damp cloth 4 times a week. And also, guess what? Fucking newsflash. Health foods are pretty expensive, and I'm on a fixed budget. And by that I mean I'm gonna fix the business end of a shotgun to my 2 front teeth, and until you stop talking to me, I'm not going to budget. And if you're actually a nutritionist, great, write a book. And then I'll ignore that too, or I'll rip the pages out and I'll use them to hold the burrito so the salsa verde doesn't drip all over my fingers. Lean meat? How about I lay you out like a clean sheet? If God didn't want us to eat cows, he wouldn't have made them so slow and docile. You don't see anybody slow roasting a cheetah, and I've had shark before, but that was strictly revenge for what they did to Sam Jackson in Deep Blue Sea. And it's not just food either. Like, I would need both yours and your sister's fingers to count the number of times I've been asked if I knew that the stunts I used to do were dangerous. As if the alternative is I thought that Roman candle ash was good for my skin. What do you think, I've been throwing myself through flaming tables to avoid the risk of hypothermia? No, actually, my theory was that if I had hurt myself badly enough, it would be like Deadpool, where the pain would turn me into a superhuman whose only power was to break plastic chairs in half with his face. Like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are gonna call me up tomorrow. Wolfgang von Strucker's holed himself up in the fluorescent light tube factory, and he keeps taking his dick out in front of the hostaged employees, so you need somebody to send in there to fuck him up who isn't afraid of inhaling dangerous amounts of phosphorus? I'm on my way, fuckface the clown. The point I'm trying to make is your ideas of well-being aren't universal. Most of the nonsense that you do to make you your best self isn't gonna work for everybody else. And telling me that kettle chips are bad for me is like telling a double amputee he'd be better off with legs. It might be technically true, that doesn't mean I want to hear it. See, pictures are important. And even though it's kind of vague, I know exactly what you're talking about. The kinds of people who would... I can't just shoehorn that in.